mental health as well, because you need your health and you need to be able to conduct any study that you are doing. So you need to make sure that you eat well, you sleep well, use the counselors, talk to people about your research when you are stressed, because speakers who spoke
to flourish in your breast. So as a research student, the first important attitude that you have to develop is to wonder. Things that amaze you. You should begin to be thinking about what is it? Why is it this? How does it happen? So if you don't wonder, you will not be able to do any useful research. Two, he says that doubt every claim you encounter until the
convinces you of its truth. In other words, doubting is not too good in our lives. If somebody doubts you, I think that you're going to break friendship with that person. But in academia, especially, that's why I keep on saying that's why from bachelor's you go to MPhil, food and nutrition, MPhil, English. From there you become a philosopher. And a philosopher doubts. So I say that it is a positive intellectual activity that fertilizes the mind. So you doubt. As a consequence upon the doubting, you have hypotheses and research questions. That's if you don't doubt, you don't ask questions, which has the capacity of enhancing your intellectual capacity. So you doubt. And as a consequence of the doubt, you go out to search for the inquiring mind, the inquiring soul, to search for evidence to mitigate or completely remove that doubt that you are nurturing. So you have to doubt. A lot of our students, sometimes it's very regrettable, it's very painful. Do not doubt. Do not have that inquisitorial spirit. Do not want to go into the field to find out what is there. So sometimes they bring you a PhD thesis, MPhil thesis. You read, and sometimes I ask the student to sit by me. As we read, I ask the student, at this level, did you write this? Oh, is that so? It means that the student even himself didn't find the time to read through. Thank you very much. We will continue.
Thank you. You see, Professor Otiajin's line, you could see that yesterday's panel discussion, that's where he was pursuing. He says only on that. Yes, so each of our panelists has cleared his or her truths, and therefore we can begin the main show. But what I would like to add to all the principles they've given to you is that read about the principles of designing back. Designing back. And designing back seems to say that before you start something, look at where you want to be, the final destination. Then take steps that will help you to achieve that final objective. So look at the picture as to where you want to end. If it's your research, what do you want to have? Is it your thesis, your publication? Finally, how will you be with that? You go through that processes. Start from the final end, you design back, and it will help you to be able to succeed. Thank you very much. We are opening the floor. Is there a mic out there? If not, can we get someone who will support us? Do I have any of my team members there? I mean, or okay, Abdul is coming, so I'll hand it. We will take the questions batch by batch. So we'll take the first batch that will consist of about 4 questions. Then we'll respond to them. Then we'll take another batch. We'll move on that party. Okay. Okay, have my bar. If you want to ask a question, kindly show by hand.
Thank you, sir. I'm Emmanuel Ojako, Usted, Department of Languages Education. I want to find from our learned professors and doctors, with the workload on you, what can students do so that we will be able to bring out impactful research work within the timelines that we need to work within? I would want to find out from you. Thank you.
Please, those online, you can also ask your question through the chat box, or if you alert the technical team, we can also allow you to speak. All right, thank you. Those online.
My name is Atevia Blessing from Usted Campus, Department of Public Health. So most postgraduate students would agree that there are certain times when each supervisor has certain things that they would require in your work or they would like to see in your work. So in a situation where sometimes even in your title, there are words like evaluate, access, and minimum, they would prefer that you use a different substitute for those words. But then during your defense or in front of a panel, a different thing from other supervisors are said altogether about your work. In a situation like that, what is the student supposed to do? And as supervisors held to any accountability standards, when a student thesis reaches the defense point, when there's a problem that is supposed to have been noticed earlier on.
Okay. You have another question?
Yeah.
Okay.
My
Last
question
one.
is, if we are to take our thesis work through rigorous international standards, are we sure that those thesis works are still going to be valid, or it would question our review system for them? Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Prof. Chair, good morning. I'm Namichi Beleza, Department of Management Education, Usted. Prof, I would like to find out at which stage of my research do I need ethical clearance to proceed my work?
Okay.
Thank you, Prof. My name is Wilfred Yaudachomo, Department of Languages Education, Usted. My question is, as one of our panelists mentioned, that most of our lecturers have their own interest, but as a student, you also have your interest. So where do you go in your research? Do you abandon yours and pick his, or you actually would have to go into his interest where you would find it so difficult to work around? What do we do as researchers or students? Thanks.
Maybe you can pick the last one, so that we attend to them. Okay. Abdul, don't only be there. There are other people in other distance who would like to say. Okay. So, speak.
Please, my name is Abdallah from Catering of Hospitality Department. I would like to know how you evaluate a strong team. Thank you.
Please, I didn't hear you well.
I said I would like to know how we evaluate a strong thesis.
Evaluate a strong team.
Thesis, yes, please.
Team.
Thesis.
Thesis.
Yes.
Oh, okay. How you evaluate a strong team? Okay, thank you. I think we'll wait. So we'll take this first set of questions, then we will come to the next. Before my panel members respond to the questions, I believe they picked some of the questions they would like to answer. I will answer the first one. When do you need ethical clearance before you start your thesis? Ethical clearance is needed right after you have defended your proposal at the department, the departmental board, and you have been cleared by the department to start the topic, and you have been given or assigned a supervisor. The moment you have been assigned a supervisor with your proposal defended, you have to apply for ethical clearance. The thing is, if your departmental board approve of your topic, it's not the final. It's the ethical clearance that will give you authorization to continue with the topic. The whole idea about ethics is what is acceptable and what is not acceptable in research. Can you go on with the topic you want to do? Would they not have any issue or implication for the university and for yourself? So we have a committee that looks at the ethical clearance. When you apply, our process is very simple. Take a copy of the ethical clearance form, fill it. It requires some addition. A copy of your research proposal, you add an abridged CV of your own CV, then a brief CV of your supervisor. When I say a brief CV of just 1 or 2 pages, so just watered down, of your supervisor. So some supervisors ask, why do we have that? Because when you submit your application, we send it to external assessors. Some might not know the background of supervisor. They want to have a fair idea whether the topic that has been presented, whether they will be able to support you. That's why we require that abridged CV, 1 or 2 pages. Then you need to take a cover letter from your supervisor. That will let us know that indeed your supervisor has approved that you should submit it. You have to go to your department for your HOD also to add a cover letter, meaning the HOD has also certified that indeed you have, in a way, you have gone through the departmental processes and they have cleared you. You go and make payment. I'm still a student. You pay 100 Ghana. That's 100 Ghana cedis. So you go to this and pay and attach the receipt. Then you submit it to School of Graduate Studies. That's where we take it. When we get it, we send it outside. Let me say outside means that outside the school to independent assessors to assess your work. Then every month we have what we call Institutional Ethical Committee. Usted Institutional Ethical Committee. They meet every month. So at the end of the month or the month when their time is due, when they meet, they will consider all the applications that external assessors have assessed. Then the assessors will come and defend the assessments. Then the committee will take decision whether we should grant you the permission to continue with the topic. So that's the procedure. And the main answer is that do it the moment you have been cleared by your department and you've been assigned a supervisor. And you need to have it done before you go on with your research work. Okay, so that is that. We talk about any other thing later on. No follow-up now. Okay, so let's attend to the other questions.
Bob, I think there is a question online. All right.
So someone talked about supervisor having a different interest and the student also having a different interest. Where do we now make progress? Let's put it that way. Another one was on ethical. Okay, I've talked about ethical clearance, and we also looked at the standard of the research as against others. Then the different views from supervisors and other lecturers. Maybe someone is doing a work, that's the focus, supervisor is doing it. But after presentation in departmental seminar, other supervisors or other lecturers are also giving other views. Where do we now position ourselves? And the very first one, what can students do to deliver research timely?
Yeah, so maybe I'll go first before others. In terms of the workload and being able to go through to get the work done appropriately and on time, then you should be able to know yourself and exactly what you want to achieve. And I keep always asking my students that, this is full-time work. PhD, MPhil is full-time. And full-time is supposed to be at least 40 hours a week. Monday, 8 hours, Tuesday, 8 hours, all through to Friday. Now, do you have that time for this research only? The answer is no, because you're already employed somewhere fully, and you're also supposed to deliver, maybe for payment. I don't demand you get salaries to be able to get going. So you should be able to balance the table in such a way that none of the two suffers. How do you do that? Have a plan. And you get to know about it. My professor was saying it earlier. About half of postgraduate students suffer mental health issues. They feel lonely, they feel anxious, they feel depressed, just because of the burnout, the workload that comes almost every day, trying to put the two together to deliver. So start early and have a very successful plan. Even if it's 2 hours daily on your research work, you make progress. So you don't wait until deadlines are approaching. That's when you begin to put your pen to paper. Start work early enough and be very consistent. The consistency is a thing for postgraduate students to deliver at the end of the day. If you're not consistent, you will lose it out. At the end of the day, your study is not something that you have to do as a special event, special project. That I want to do it today, let me go to sleep. Next week, I'll come back to do another. No, it should be consistent. And by so we develop a very cogent habit for it. And for me, PhD shouldn't take you 2 years to deliver if you're very consistent and committed to that. So I'll allow my colleagues to say a bit about it.
Thank you very much. I would want to touch on ethics, as Prof said, but something small to add. Yes. So one of the hurdles that I had to face when I started my doctoral journey was ethics. And I think Prof will bear to that. By then, Amstead wasn't having an ethical RIB board instituted. So it was difficult, even if you have an idea that there is the need for you to have an approval. But then we also didn't know we could have even gone to ANUST or other universities to apply for. So we started with what we wanted to do. But we realized that when we were done, publication became a problem. We would want to go or get to Elsevier and then the giant journals, but yet they would ask you to have your approval letters and you wouldn't have. So you'd be hiding and then running away. So now that you are blessed to have such an established ethics board, I would encourage each and everyone to apply before you move on so that you'll be able to publish and publish well. The second one has to do with whether you drop your area of interest and then accept what your professor or your supervisor would suggest. In my case, all that I knew was, even though I knew the three areas, qualitative, quantitative, and then the mixed method, all the projects and then the works that are done were, majority of them were mixed method. Even with qualitative, I had no idea, even though within the mixed method, you would use few words or few explanations for that. So he was biased towards me using the qualitative. And I bet you now I have seen my way forward with qualitative, of which it has really helped me. So where you are comfortable, sometimes it is good you told that line, but sometimes too, when you are advised and you take it in good heart and then will work towards it, you'll be able to achieve something better and add to what you already know. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to take the last question that came. What makes a strong thesis? Yes. I would say that when I take a PhD or MPhil work to review, maybe as an external examiner, the first thing I look at is novelty. And if my students are here, they will bear me out. I've taken them rigorously through how to craft the novelty of your research. The novelty of your research is the knowledge you are adding. It can be very, very tiny. It shouldn't be something that you are reinventing from space. It can be very, very tiny. For a PhD, your novelty, the contribution to knowledge can be 0.0001. But it is novel. It is something new. How do you determine it? You can read someone's work. The limitations that the person had with the research becomes a novelty for you. You craft it as a novelty in your work. You are addressing the limitations that someone had in this sort of research. But the first thing I look at is the novelty. And when I read the introduction of your work, I should be able to see how novel your work is. When I finish reading the introductory section of your work, I should be able to have some idea of what new you are bringing into the field that I don't know of. So that is the first thing. That makes a strong thesis. Then when I get to your method session, I want to see a justification of the methods you are choosing. If it's a cross-sectional approach you are adopting, what is the justification for using cross-sectional for your research? You need to be able to justify. So then just pick and choose research approaches without justifying why they chose this. Sometimes the design they are choosing is even wrong. I want to see novelty. I want to see justified approaches that you are using. When I get to your results, I want to see how it links to every objective that you have. Sometimes it's going to complete the work, and some of the objectives are not addressed in the results section. So as I take the results section, I am linking it to your objectives. Which objective is this result addressing? So that I can map that these results are linking to these objectives. And these results are coming from these approaches or the methods that you used. Then I want to see your limitations. There is no perfect research in this world. The line of perfection. Your thesis is, let me say, asymptotic to perfection. It can never be perfect. So every research has a limitation. And I want to see students telling me the limitations of their research. You shouldn't be afraid to say that this were the limitations of my research. You shouldn't be afraid to say it. Every research work that doesn't have a limitation, it means the researcher doesn't understand what he or she is doing. No matter the research you do, you should have a limitation. You're able to point out that based on the sample size or the calculation I use to calculate my sample size, or based on the study area that I use, these and that are my limitations. You should be able to spell it out. Then in the conclusion session, I want to see how your research connects to practical situations. How can we use your results to solve issues on the ground? How does it contribute to policy? How does it contribute to practice? So these are the key items I look for, which I think that if you are an MPhil student or a PhD student, when you are writing your thesis, these are some of the things that you should think of, because these are the things we look out for when we are assessing your thesis. Novelty, justified approaches to data collection, hammer on your limitations so that I know that these are the limits to your research. Then connect your results or your conclusion to practice and policy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I want to touch on the workload. The student wanted to know that with the kind of workloads that supervisors have, how are we able to manage that? So your supervisors for both MPhil and PhD, they might have gone through the PhD system. So once you do a PhD, it teaches you time management. If you don't know how to manage your time, you can't graduate with a PhD. So the same kind of experience that we have, that is what we use when it comes to supervising students. So indeed, we are teaching, we are doing research and things, and we are supervising students, but then we manage our time very well. When it comes to me, I tell my students I want structure. So I have a list of all my students with their progress pasted in my office and on my fridge in the house. So at a glance, I see how you are progressing. Also, I keep records. So every month I send a meeting schedule out. And then you tell me whether you are available. So like, it's not that I'm not flexible. So if you are not available, we can reschedule it so that we have our meetings regularly. Because I realized that in the past, students will be going around, have you seen my supervisor? Where's my supervisor? Meanwhile, the supervisor is teaching. So in the first meeting that we'll have, I'll have that introduction with you. And I tell you, for me, it's about structure. If you want to meet me aside the normal meeting routine, send me an email and I'll also meet you. And I keep records of the progress of my students on my laptop. So we had a meeting on this day. This is what we discussed. This is what I've asked you to do. And for all my students, I have that on my laptop. So that will help me to be able to monitor the progress and also help the student as well. So it's all about time management for the lecturers. Sometimes we also stay out late in the night and all that, but then we try and do our best so that we can help our students graduate. Another thing I also want to touch on is the area when it comes to the area of specialization. So mostly when I'm teaching the MPhil student, I tell them this is my area. So if you want to come to me, then you must show an interest in my area. But then there's also another arrangement. For instance, a student wants to do a research in my area, let's say social science. Then the student changes their mind and they want to do something like experimental or food science. So what we do in our department is that we have that cordiality among us. So let me use Doreen, for example. You say, I started with this student. The student is doing product development. Now they want to do something in tourism. Will you be able to help that student? Then she will transfer the student to me. And then the same time, so those are the initial stages. So I think basically that is what I want to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right. I think that research nowadays, we are interested in convergent thinking. Not so much of convergent, but divergent thinking. We need the two. We talk about the fact that maybe, Prof, I want to link this. There are two words. Is the thinking or the thought running through divergent from that of your supervisor, or are you converging? At that level, I think that we need a lot of divergence. It means that I should not, as a supervisor, insist that whether you like it or not, go my way. That would be an easy convergence. But if you decide that, of course, this is the way that you want to do it, and the supervisor feels that, oh, yes, that is why he's also an advisor. He's also a counselor. He looks at the future of your work, job prospects, and may be suggesting that why don't you look at it from this perspective? so that we can write papers. Of course, that is not from selfish point of view, so that you can even get job to do after this. You can be placed here and so on and so forth. So I believe in another word that we call synthesis. You see, in writing your thesis, we believe in synthesis. This is why standard as it meet international. Yes, even over there, you can write up to chapter 3 or 4, and the supervisor, the professor can say, cancel it all. It means that we're thinking. And once we're thinking, anything can crop up. So it's a rigor that you have to go through. But the most important thing is that have we disagreed to agree? Have we synthesized our ideas together so that sometime in the course of maybe the misunderstanding, we can craft a new topic that will suit you and your supervisor. But ideally, the interest of the student is at the highest level. And of course, he is doing it, and it's very important. Prof, he talks about time. I think it's a symbiotic relations. And when we meet like this, your ideas, let us be frank, your ideas are as good as lecturers who are supervising you or the professors. The point is that, yes, admittedly, we have a lot of work to do. Meetings, especially become a senior lecturer, professor, you are attending meetings. Look at the dean of graduate school. A lot of meetings and so on and so forth. So the onus is on you to prove beyond any reasonable doubt that you are ready to work. Of if you read through and get to know that you are not, because when you come to my office, I'll ask you what is the statement, problem statement. And if you sit there for some time and I see that you are not going to say, I can say you're not serious. And when that happens, you say, I haven't got time for you. Yes, admittedly, we don't have time. Yet, you will let the lecturer or the supervisor have time, provided what you have written will have a sanguine effect on maybe later on what you want to do. So that's very, very important. Again, the student comes, you mark it so extensively, and then you say, go and do the revision. 3 months, 4 months, he hasn't appeared, he hasn't come. And then when he comes, he wants you to sit down. Sometimes when they are coming, they don't even tell you. You come and say that he's standing there. Say, about 3 months ago, I came. I mean, what are you talking about? It tells me right from the outset that you are not serious, excuse me. So it's symbiotic relationship. In as much as you want me to leave a lot of work that I do, of course. I was reading a proposal, chapter 1 of a PhD. I like it so much. I am redesigning for the person. But I like it. It's readable. It makes good reading. And you do not want to put it there even when the bachelors come to call you. Bachelor students come to call you, they come for lectures. But there are some of them when you are reading, you don't know what the person is writing about. Let's just be blunt and tell the truth. And sometimes maybe AI generated issues. Later on, we'll talk about that. You go to AI, you generate everything, you put it there. What is your, Prof said, what has been your own contribution? You are a thinker. You have first seminar like this. So I think that if you want me to have time for you, have time for yourself, come at the right time, and then do the right thing. Don't let somebody, I keep on saying now, say this. Somebody do it for you, and then you come and tell us that. So in terms of international standard, yes, Usted, we are on top. Because when the external supervisors come, sometimes there is a debate all over the world. We debate because we are in for knowledge acquisition. And once that is there, we differ in thinking. So the fact that somebody is saying this doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It doesn't mean that the vice chancellor will say that he is also wrong. We agree to disagree and disagree to agree. So at the end of it all, we will synthesize, and normally we come to a point that we all agree that this is the best. Let us take this. Sometimes debating on issues is the best in terms of having an intellectual capacity. Thank you very much.
You understand the distance? Yes. Yes. I think you have touched it. Yes, I think the question is okay. What I would like to add on the ethical review is that please, if we're a student in Usted, it's a must. Even if your work, it demands that you go somewhere to collect data. and they don't accept that the clearance we give to you is enough, they also want to give it to you, then you have to apply over there. We can still do it. But ours is a must as our student, and you have to have it. We are having a lot of issues, not only from students, even from staff. Sometimes a professor will cancel us, so we submitted a paper, and the journal has requested for the ethical clearance, and they come. The only advice I can give, because ethics is doing what is right in research, and I chair it, so I can't Nicodemously sit in my office and grant you, write a letter for you and backdate it. No, I can't do it. So when you come, even yesterday, last week I traveled. When I came, a lecturer has come with a letter from the HOD. They submitted a paper to a conference and they have requested for it. Yesterday, someone contacted me. I advise you go through the process, apply. If there's an issue, because it means you didn't take the ethical clearance before you collected data, so journals will not accept it. So you withdraw your paper from there. Go through the process, secure proper distance. Then after, put your house in order. Then you now submit to another journal. If the same, I don't know. If the same, they may, I don't know, they may know. But we cannot sit there as ethics committee and behave unethical. That is the point I want to make. So if we're a student and it happens to you, we can't do anything. You come to me, I can't help you out. I advise you go through the process, the procedure. There's no way I can go behind the process and issue you with anything and validate it. That is very unethical. So let's take notes. All students of Usted, the moment your topics are ready and you have been assigned supervisors, quickly apply for ethical clearance. All right, thank you. We'll move on to the next batch of. I think we have dealt with all the issues with the first batch. So, where is that? Okay.
Yes, can we take the session?
Sorry. Online. Okay, let's take the online quickly. Wait. I will bring the distance to them. The online. Let's respond so that they be part. Abdul, did you hear what I said? I said bring it to them. I don't know that we are leaving the online team totally out.
Okay, Prof. This is a question for.
Okay, it's test, right?
Yeah, test.
All right.
Okay. So, how can postgraduate students effectively combine methods and theories from different disciplines without losing depth in their own field? What skills should we build now to make that work?
Okay, so that's the first one, right?
Yeah. Then it says, based on your experience, what pieces of advice would you give us as postgraduate students who want to build a successful and impactful research career? Thank you.
Okay. Successful.
The name is Albert Nignim Waja.
Okay. All right, then the mic can go back to you.
Okay, Prof, thank you. I'm Ernest Atiwi from the Department of Construction Technology and Management Education. My question is to deal with the fact that every supervisor has his or her own philosophy. And then when I'm writing my research, everyone has what he or she expects to see in my research. And then when it's time for me to go and defend it, I get an issue from that place. For instance, in my study, probably I want to do a quantitative research, but I've been advised to do a qualitative study. Per what I know, I'm well versed in the quantitative than the qualitative. But the advice coming is going to contradict what I can do and how effectively I can do my research. What measures are there, or is the school putting in place to ensure that in terms of assessment, they are not biased in terms of that maybe my area, or I want to basically look at methodology. If I don't see this and that in your methodology, it means that you failed. My specific area is your chapter 1. I want to see this and that. What measures are being put in place to ensure that there is consistency, transparency in terms of assessment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Good morning. Please, I'm Halima JC, MPhil Science Education, Usted Mampong Campus. On the issue of IRB, since Usted has 2 campuses, do you have offices for each of the IRB? And secondly, how long will it take to get a feedback when you apply? Then thirdly, with the issue of you working with your supervisor, if it happens that, like in my case, the topic has been changed 3 times, I feel frustrated and the zeal to work is now down. What advice will you give me?
Okay. Yes, next. All right, sir. I'm away Ebenezer from Usted, sorry. Agribusiness manpower. Prof, I'm an industry player, and so I will relate my questions to industry issues. Now, for a supervisor who may not be from the same industry that you operate, and then you want to have your work within that space, what do you do to be able to get your work through? Probably you've identified a problem within the industry, and that is why you are developing that particular work. What do you do along the line to ensure that at the end of the day, you're able to get the result that is needed for that particular work that you want to do? And then the second one has to do with the fact that what makes research problem researchable different from consultancy report? For me, I do a lot of consultancy report, and I want to understand what makes a research different from that of a consultancy report. Thank you. Okay. Any other one?
Please, my last question. Is it permissible to use one data under 2 different research work?
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So attend to these listening.
Please, I have a question.
And you come. Let's finish this batch.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll go to my listening, but my attempt to talk about the last question. Okay. Yes. So the institutional ethical review committee. Yes, we have one for the entire university. We don't have one committee in Mampon and one different committee in Kumasi. This one. In fact, when we met and we started initially, we made a proposal to university management to have 3 different subcommittees, but that consideration is yet to be looked at. But now we have only one for the entire university. So when we apply, it should come to that body. And that is what we are operating now. But the members of the committees are from both campuses, in different areas of specialization. So that is what I will add. And someone talking about one data for different public studies. So if you have the same data, why do you publish it in 2 areas, 2 different destinies? It's a bit unethical. You can't publish the same data information in different, let's say, publications. When you go to some of these things, they come up. It's even within academic stuff. When you are assessing promotion document, you realize that it's the same document, the same data that have been published in 2 different journals, try to turn it in different ways, but you realize the core data are the same, and it's not acceptable. That one, let's be frank with you. If the data, one data is for one work, if you're publishing, publish it one. But it's different from student work that probably you have done a work you have different objectives. Each objective, you'll be able to obtain a data on each of the objectives. Then you are publishing from each objective with that different data from each objective. That one, there's nothing wrong with that. Because it's not the same data that you are trying to publish in different. But if it's the same, it's not allowed. Only thing that can be seen is that maybe you can present in a conference for people to make input and those things, then you now improve on it to have a final publish somewhere. But it's not very ethical. So I'll leave the mic to my partner here to respond to the questions.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. With the response Prof just gave, I want to say something about it. Probably the student meant data set, but not variables. So at the end of the day, we might have a very comprehensive data set that has a number of variables in them. For instance, you collect one data in a particular market. And I don't know, they have various perspectives. So a lot of variables coming up in there. So you can pick variables from within the same data and publish them as individual or different papers. But if it is the same variable, if it is a connection between maybe artificial intelligence and maybe academic performance, then you don't do that twice, right? It's the same thing. So maybe we have to clarify that whether you're talking about data set or variables. Okay, so I'll pick one question from a colleague that says, borrowing from various areas, different disciplines in terms of methods and theories. I think this is very interesting. And when I hook it to what Prof. Bonnie mentioned, it is always very important to go beyond what others have done. And that is where we see the novelty of your work. So novelty is about how different are you solving the same problem that people have solved. People use different approaches, different methods. How different is yours? And it's always good to think interdisciplinary. You don't always dwell in education, but theories or methods because your study is in education. You can borrow something from psychology or social work or even geography, environmental issues, depending on your topic or the idea. So at the end of the day, it's very important to tell people that, hey, people have used the same approach, the same method in this field. I want to be different. So I want to borrow something from psychological issues and study that in my educational leadership study. And that becomes so unique and everybody will be happy to listen to that. So think about it. Always don't dwell within your home. Go beyond that. And I think you'll be one or out. I'm definitely going to be the best within the group. Now, before others come in, I want to talk about a topic that was changed about 3 or 4 times and that the student became frustrated. Now, the question is, what did you do? What did you bring out? There's always a problem, right? That you need to bring out to solve. Your research should be based on a problem, and the problem should be articulated very well. So if you don't pick anything just like that, take it to the supervisor to say, I want to do this or that. You must give a justification. And that's why we talk of methodology, how it differs from methods. It's about justifying the choices you make or decisions that you make into your study. So at the end of the day, you must do very comprehensive review of the literature to see where the gaps are. Come and tell me what is the relevance of filling those gaps, and that will give you a problem, right? So at the end of the day, if you don't have anything so cogent to communicate, the supervisor will tell you to drop it and do it again. So for me, you have to do a lot of work, read the literature, and that's where the study begins. You can see a gap, but that gap might not be also researchable. At the end of the day, if the gap, filling the gap doesn't bring any development or any improvement to the society, practically, or in terms of policy, nobody would ask you to do that. You'll be asked to drop it. So make sure you read very well. So as you go to supervisor, go and you don't convince him anyway, but just go and articulate your points out that, yes, I want to do this, I've seen this, I've seen that, and I want to add this to your literature, building on the previous works. And any supervisor will be very happy and be interested in what you want to do. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Mine is on cancellation. As Prof. Oti said, about 2 or 3 pages will be cancelled with red pen. When you see it, then you are getting into the yes. But one advice, when it happens like that, please, you will delete, but don't trash them. Get a folder, name the folder, and then save it somewhere, a corner on your PC. One day, before you finish your thesis, you may need them. So please, when it happens like that, don't worry at all. Keep them and then keep them well. I'm also curious about the 3 topics that you've changed. Is it under one supervisor or you changed them as you moved to another supervisor? I would want to find out. The same supervisor, but 3 times.
Additions and subtraction keeps on coming in. So
then
the same topic, but add this, remove this another time. So it will be
that is normal, my sister. That is normal. It's part of the learning process. So you don't worry. They are bound to happen. But sometimes too, when you read and read well, a little bit assertiveness would also alert your supervisor that at least you know what you want to achieve. You don't just relax and when they say stop, you stop. When they say bring this, you bring. Sometimes be a little bit assertive and then push ahead and see if you will be accepted or you'll be recognized in what you are doing. And then be versatile. Sometimes you are stick to the one corner that you know, or even a project that you have seen at the library, and you have read and you think you can go by that one. So if even we push you to left, you still in the center. You don't want to move. So try and then work with that too. Thank you.
Thank you for your advice. Someone asked something on advice for impactful research career. Yes. I want to say that to be an impactful researcher, you have to question everything. Ask a lot of questions. I got my PhD research topic from my experience at a car wash station. When I went to wash my car, I saw that they were washing the car. There was a lot of water draining out, getting into the gutters, and there's. So I asked them, where is this water going? Why can't we use this water for something else? Or why can't we treat the water and reuse it to wash the car again? Because you don't need drinking water to wash your car. So that was the question I just asked myself there. It later turned out to be my PhD topic. Because I was looking at how we can convert that dirty water into water that can be used again to wash the car. That was the question I asked. And even in the process of doing my PhD, when I developed the system to treat the wastewater, I was using alum, and I had to buy the alum, which was imported. And I asked myself, why can't we get our own alum here in Ghana? So while I was reading, I saw that mining companies normally discharge their bauxite waste. So I took their bauxite waste and I generated alum from the bauxite waste to replace the alum that I was buying. And I compared the efficacy of the alum that was imported and what I generated. They were almost comparable. So to be an impactful researcher, you have to question everything. Everything that you see, don't just accept it. That's God for saying. Question it. There are a lot of issues around us. That would be a research question for you. Question everything around you. Find out innovative means of doing things better. If someone has done it, find out how can we make it better. It's been about 10 years since I started that research, and I'm still refining the system. I'm always asking questions. This chemical I'm using, this method I'm using, this treatment system I'm using, how can I modify it, make it better? And that is what makes you an impactful researcher. The next one is to never give up. Be resilient. Those of you are saying we are changing your topic 3 times, 4 times. Do you know how many times my topic was changed there? Be resilient. Sometimes you tell students to go and do something and they come back, Rob, I couldn't do anything. The lecturers here, they can confirm. Sometimes when you send a paper to a journal, they reject it outright. But you take a look at their comments, you revise, you send it to another, they reject it. The next one, you send it. I remember my first paper, I took it to South Africa. It was a top journal there. They rejected it within 2 days. I almost cried. So I went back to my supervisor and told him, "Money, this is the first paper, so respect." So I took it, their comments, I sat down overnight, I revised, I took the next, but they rejected it. It was so demotivating. But it's the resilience, It's the resilience that will bring you this far. You're publishing a paper that has been rejected 3 times. It's been a year. Just last week, we received information that has been accepted for publication. It's been rejected 3 times, 3 times. Just last week, it's been a year. We sent it August 2025. Tomorrow is August. So 1 year, it was rejected 3 times. If you are not resilient, you can never be a researcher. When you go to your supervisor today and you say, "Go and come tomorrow," and you go and you don't come back, you are not interested in becoming a public researcher. One of my students who completed his work within the shortest time, that was what I saw about him. He was resilient. He was always coming, always coming. This, I found this, I didn't understand. Can you explain to me? Or I found this approach. Can we adopt? Always coming to show you something. But the rest, as someone was saying, you come today. How many months? 3 months. The resilience is part of the hallmark of a researcher. Don't ever give up. You come, sometimes we argue. Sometimes the approach you want to use, you can't justify it. I tell you, this is what you can use. Go and sleep on it. Take my advice. Listen to what your heart is also telling you, because sometimes I tell my students that this advice I'm giving to you, go and think on it and see whether I'm making sense. If it doesn't make sense, bring something that you can also justify, then you can move forward. So please, be resilient. Be resilient. Don't be demotivated by the slightest thing. Some people have done their PhDs for 8 years. My supervisor, he did his PhD in Holland. He did it for 8 years. Yes, it was supposed to be completed in 3 years' time, but he did it for 8 years. And it took resilience for him to complete. Please don't give up if you want to be an impactful researcher. That is the advice I'll give. Thank you very much.
An example. Location alone took me almost 6 months. So the first, study area, that's the setting. So I went with my Kumasi Metro. Okay, first degree, where? Kumasi Metro. The next one, Kumasi Metro. They are, madam, why? Move on. Then I said, let me choose my first station in Carrier. That was then Achuma and Wabeja. I went and said, justify why you want to go there. And then I said, yes, that was my first station. And then I love the station. And hey, that is your justification. Move on. Finally, I ended at Asante Achima Gogo. And then you would have to even justify with that, because it was closer to where I come from, Eastern region, and we share borders. And you need to explain, and then convince them that you really want to have your research done in that area. So they are all the learning processes, part of it, my dear. So don't worry, it shall be well, eh?
That is also a novelty. The study area you choose can be a novelty, geographical novelty. You see, geographical novelty. Some students say, oh, it has been done in Kumasi, but it has not been done in Mampong. And I asked them, so what makes Mampong so unique for you to come and do it in Mampong? You have to explain. And that can become your novelty.
Thank you very much. So I want to comment on measures put in place for transparency and consistency for business assessment. And I think the School of Graduate Studies has put in place those measures. So you have an internal assessor and also an external assessor. And for external assessor, they don't just pick anyone at all. They take their CVs, they check their backgrounds and their expertise before they are appointed as external assessors as well. And also on the day of
the defense. There's a panel, so your supervisor is there, the chair is there, and all that. So those are all the measures that they put in place to ensure that the assessment goes well. Also, someone wanted to know that the supervisor is not an industry player. So I think at the initial stages, we said you own your work and your supervisor is guiding you through. And so the supervisor is knowledgeable when it comes to the methodology of doing research. Sometimes when it becomes very necessary, what they can do is that they will invite an industry person as an advisor. So this one will be dealt with case by case basis. So I think basically that's what I want to say about that.
Thank you very much. I think that the questions have been answered, but you talk about philosophies, different kinds of philosophies. This reminds me, Cha, of what Socrates once said, and I like reading about this man. He stood in the large streets of Athens, and then shouted, "I, Socrates, I'm the wisest person on earth." And people were not too happy about that because it was boastful, self-conceitedness, and so on and so forth. But he said that, but I have not finished what I'm saying. I am the wisest person on earth, he repeated. And he said, why? And he said, because I know that I don't know. I know that I know not. So Socrates is telling us that at any point in time, you have to more or less give up what you already have. Sometimes we fastidiously and punctiliously adhere to the positions that you have taken, that we are not ready to change, transformation. That is why we are not surprised. All of us here are not surprised that your topic has been changed 3 times. I was going to ask, and so what? Because it doesn't bring in anything. Yeah. Even at the Viva, the topic can change. They can tell you to rewrite the entire chapter. Prophet and also. So, madam, take heart. It will be okay. You see, about 100 years ago, Americans came in to solve the problem of different philosophies. As somebody was telling us that, yeah, this philosophy, that philosophy, the professor is saying this philosophy. Yeah, it used to be that there was what we call pluralization. The rationalists were saying that this is our position. Without the mind, nothing exists. Thinking through, generating ideas. And then the realists, who are also, we call them the positivists, are saying that objects exist. And they exist independently of whether there is a knowing about it or not. So go to the field, gather observable empirical facts and bring them. So that was, so sometime it was either positivism or rationalism and so on and so forth. The American came and said that all these arguments are not necessary. Go for that which works. That is pragmatism. Simple. You can combine as many as 4 philosophies, provided that they are result-oriented. That's what we call pragmatism, philosophy of consequences. And you call it mixed method approach. So you can mix as many as you like, provided they give you a direction. They give you an insight. They give you an inclination towards a particular point. That is why you're a philosopher. So go for the pragmatic position. Your professor knows very well that given the various facets of your work, this philosophy alone will not be sufficient. So go for this, add this, and so on and so forth. Does it work? Does it give us result? So if you are going for that, then Prof, our students must be flexible and read so avidly. Read a lot of works. You see, reading makes a man. We're seeing that one important thing that our students are not doing is a bane of our research work is that we don't read. We don't read. So sometimes, excuse my language, we are so narrow. Sometimes all of us, we become so parochial. I mean, we don't want to read to converse, because as you're reading, you converse with other authors, and you know that encyclopedic knowledge, that's epistemology, different kinds of knowledge. So go for them, sit down, think through, and you're going to blend a lot of philosophies that will give you a particular direction. Philosophy is revolutionary and dynamic. So be dynamic. Thank you very much, Prof.
In fact, our time, we wish we have, you come, Prof. A lot of time to do this. Before Prof comes in, maybe Prof, I think some people also like to say. Someone wanted to ask a question. I want the question to answer that we sum up with it. So let it ask. I think 2 hands or so.
Thank you.
Time.
My name is Priscilla Prachu from Usted Mampong Campus, Department of Public Health. Please, I wanted to find out, sometimes students might have
Stop that. That is
MPhil.
MPhil.
At an institution, you need ethical consideration. But if you do that, you may not get the accurate data. Sometimes you may not get the accurate data. So in this case, how do you ensure ethical consideration and also get the accurate data?
Are you trying to say that if you apply for ethical
What I'm trying to say is that maybe you've gone to a health institution and you want information from that institution. But if you want them about, if you tell them about your intention, you may not get the accurate data. They will give you wrong data.
Okay.
No,
okay.
because
That's
please,
your question.
because some things at the health sector are ethical, they are confidential, and they are not supposed to be disclosed. So in this case, how do you ensure ethical consideration and get it?
Okay, thank you. And the last one.
Please, Beto Usu from Department of Educational Leadership, Usted. Please, during a research presentation, particularly when discussing the population and sample size. Examiners sometimes say they are not interested in the actual population figures. Please, in such a situation, what is the best way to respond?
Okay. Yes, it's okay. The time we'll talk about them. Prof, I'll come to you later. Let me respond to some few, then our team will go with it. Then the prof and others will wrap it. With the last question, you are coming from English. Is that English department? Leadership. Okay. And they said population is not important. They don't want figures. Okay, I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about because I wanted to be very clear about well, maybe we want to get it clear so that there wouldn't be.
Okay, please. It's not from the department. Yesterday, during observation at the presentation, someone was presenting, and then the chair asked the chair was like, what's the population? And then the person said the population is 1,000. And the chair was, we are not interested in the figure. What is your population?
Okay. Yes. So you are not clearing it. It's not that you are saying because you can't just say 1,000. How did you arrive at the 1,000? Who are those who were involved in the So that is the story. Thank you very much. So please, when you take the mic, 1 minute. Our time.
All right. So we don't have much time to say anything. But I think let me also take the last one. I think it's of interest. That you don't just go and mention numbers. I mean, you use the word figure. And that was the confusion anyway. So you must be able to, as it were, justify. So if maybe your study is on this campus and you want to settle on one department for your study, I mean, you want to select students from that department, then you should be able to give a chronology. If it is maybe stratification that you used, maybe it's cluster that you used, simple random or whatsoever. Let us see, where are you coming from which exactly. So you have to be able to provide a justification that the sample that you're talking about is actually representative for the entire population. So let us know what is the target population, the accessible population, and draw the sample from that. And for me, if I'm able to give that explanation, anybody would understand you, but not just mentioning a figure or a number that I want to use this, I want to do that. So I think the issue was about the representation and how is that going to be generalizable. Okay.
So with the confidentiality, it's very important that you mask the institution that you be collecting the data from, or the individuals that you collect the data from. That is where sometimes they wouldn't want their data to move out of what you would determine from your research may not be in agreement with how they also manage their things over there. So it's important. That is also why ethics also seeks to people to consent or even assent to whenever they would want to give information for researchers to use. So that is also very important as it comes across. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to congratulate Richmond for publishing 4 papers out of his 4 papers, yes, out of his MPhil. I'm very happy to hear that. So keep on, be resilient. Yes, it's not easy working with Prof. For you ask you a lot of questions, and if you are not able to answer, I have to go back in time. So thank you. Be resilient. On the case of ethical clearance, the reason why we brought ethical clearance is to ensure that we protect participants. Yes, some time ago, some doctors used prisoners who were camped somewhere as experiments. They're dissecting them for experiments, and they came out with findings. But it was ethical. That's the reason for bringing up ethical clearance. So, for instance, when you go to the health facilities, you're supposed to mask them, as she's saying. And you shouldn't disclose anything that someone can sit down and do what you call jigsaw analysis and put the information that you're disclosing together and identify or pinpoint your respondents or your facilities. Yes, because your ethical clearance should be able to clearly tell that, anonymize your responses when you are giving sensitive information that can cause someone trouble. Then you also have to assure confidentiality when you are collecting your data. Even how to secure the data is also an issue. You have to ensure that nobody gets access to the data unless it is what? A reasonable request and approved by the ethical board. So those doing research in public, those are some of the things you have to bear in mind. And there are certain information that if your participant don't want to give you, it is voluntary. If you don't want to give it to you, it is voluntary. They can choose not to give it to you. Then you accept it as part of the research. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I want to touch on the supervision issue. So I will put it as not lobbying for a supervisor, but at least you can speak to someone for regarding your research interest. Probably you might have read the person's articles and you are interested in that area. So that's what I would say. And also for the page numbers, please, when you are going through this research process, it's training you. So there's a standard that you must follow. So that is why the word limit, you are not supposed to go above certain word limit or below. So please, if we are saying that your research is not up to the word count that the graduate school expect, please don't add chaff. Just think and add something relevant and sensible. Thank you very much.
I think basically it's not an extension of literature review. When people think that they don't have the sufficient, if you like, adequate pages, the standard is that you have to have this number of pages, and then they take them back. The only place that they go to maybe do an expansion, not connected, and so on and so forth. But I think basically, if you are expanding chapter 4 and 3, for me, should be the focus of our expansion. How we do the analysis. Prof, it is regrettable that sometimes when you are reading chapter 4 and 5, you see that there is no analysis. If you get back to the literature, it's a chronicle of events. This one said this, this one said this, this one said this, according to this. That is not literature review. The word review, I think, connotes some amount of analysis. Be analytical. So this is what I've gotten. What is he saying? How do I interrogate it? What are the issues coming out? What are the concepts that I can delineate out of the issues that are presented before me? Prof, that is very, very important. As I taught, I'm very proud of her. I taught her here when we were here. Prof, he's doing very well. But you see, the point is that, Prof, some students think that they will lobby for particular lecturers because some lecturers are hard and some are lenient. But that is not the case. Do the right thing. Let your writers be readable. Smooth reading, you enjoy it. But some of them, when you start reading, you see structures, soil, what do you call it? Agric. Soil profile, different kinds. This is a loamy soil. This, then suddenly you come to sandy, then quickly you come to this, and you see that it's a bunch of confusion.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so the word limit is important. Of late, when your work comes to graduate school, before you go for external, we check all these things. If you are not meeting it, we turn your work back. So you have to. The most worrying thing is that you go and look at your work, and some important parts are not there. Limitation, there's nothing there. Scope, there's not written anything. And your work is below the minimum page requirement. So we expect that the page limit is not just given, stated. We have gone through rigorous checks with percentages from each chapter to establish that basic page limit. So if you are doing your work standard At least at minimum, that is it. We expect that at that level, you should get to that page. So if you are not getting there, then there's problem. And most of them, when you check their work, you realize that some important parts are missing and they didn't write anything. So it is there to establish that standard for us and guide for us. And we expect that we all go through. And they're lobbying for supervisors, as you said. Departments have number of supervisors. If some of them project themselves, oh, they said this student characterizes a supervisor, this one is a difficult person. This is not difficult. So, lobby, all of you want to go to someone that you think is not difficult. Maybe the person is taking anything you bring, oh, it's okay, it's okay. You wait at the Viva. That's where you see where you are coming from. That's the problem. Any supervisor that they will say that he or she is difficult, it means the person is paying attention to the details of your work. And normally their students don't suffer. But those who say everything, sometimes they don't even have time to go through. And so it's okay. It's vital that you rather see the effect. So let's allow the department, if you want to have someone to do it, you can show your work to the person. Yes, discuss with HOD, they can assign the person to you. But let's not think that we all want to go a certain way because of some perception. Sometimes it's even a perception. Someone will just tell them that this is the situation, but that might not be the case. Before we leave here, we have our supervisors, our professors, and doctors, some lecturers here who are to add to this discussion. Let's first recognize Reverend Professor Mawoni. Prof, please. The mic. What?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Not much to say. A lot of things that were running through my head, you have answered them. But I wanted to add a bit. The students are trying to confuse the professors. Instead of refining the topic, they are saying changing the topic. You see, your topic can be refined, and like they said, even at the Viva, you have finished everything and you go and they say, remove this letter or this word and put this word. You have refined the topic. But a change of topic is a complete change altogether of your research area. Watch that. I was in the promotions and appointment and promotions board when one man came and he did electrical engineering for first degree, electrical engineering for second degree, and at third degree, his supervisor moved him to change the whole thing to some aspect of engineering. Even though they are all engineering, it was way out of his area. We said this is skirt and blouse. So where there is a change that takes you off from your subject area, that one please seek further advice from your head of department or your dean or your coordinator. If the supervisor is not in your subject area, then seek again advice from your head of department, coordinator, or dean. They could change the supervisor for you. You should not take a supervisor who is in English to supervise you in economics. And sometimes because of lack of supervisors, we try to manage. But if the person is taking you away from your subject area, please be careful. I hope this will help a lot of students. Yeah, but what we've been doing is just refining and reviewing and polishing the topic and not absolute change. But I really thank the dean so much for this conference. I've been following you online, even though I was in Accra. Sometimes the network wasn't very good, but it has been very, very fruitful, very impactful. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Professor Esther Apia.
Yeah, mine is on the ethical clearance. When it comes to health care research, if you want to go undercover, then you are becoming an nurse, a nurse. You want to gather information where you want to name and shame, good. But when it comes to collecting data for healthcare, you need to, first of all, they've said it all, you want to mask the facility. For instance, I want to do a study at college. I can say a tertiary institution in Ghana. I don't necessarily have to mention that name. So information that you need should be clear. Sometimes you may have to even go to the facility before you do the study there. Tell them, oh, this is my intention. They will guide you. That these are, I remember there was somebody who published information about University of Ghana. It was about HIV/AIDS. And they say, oh, there are a lot of numbers of, it was on front page. So it means that you are denting the image of the institution. So for them, they will respect you. So if you make things clear to them and you collect the data, they will allow you. There's nothing like, oh, you won't get what you need to get. It's not like that. So please, let's observe that, especially studies on human subjects and those who are also underprivileged, those who taking advantage of the sick. Because I'm sick, then you want children, pregnant women, the elderly. So please, it's very important. That's why ethical clearance is always important for your study. And don't go and gather one thing and then go and fabricate. That is why we say scientific misconduct. It becomes scientific misconduct when you fabricate, when you falsify, when you do so many other things. So please, let's all know, especially when they are delaying you. You can take 3 months, 6 months, it's not coming. Please be patient and get it. Thank you.
Do you have any comments? Yes, thank you very much. But I want to first applaud our students for the frankness, let's clap for ourselves. Yeah, I think we should applaud our students for the questions. And then, of course, the moderator and the panelists, I think they've done a great job answering all the questions that have been thrown at them. So I don't rehash anything. I just want to, if you like, throw in a few things, a cocktail of a few things. I would just speak about them so that that can be part of what they are processing in their minds as they leave the conference. I think one key thing, and I think my sister mentioned it briefly, the bit about this thing being, processed to a product. There's a high tendency for our students to be interested in the quality of the product, the thesis meeting all the requirements and all that. But I think especially for our research students, MPhil, PhD, the quality of the process is extremely important. You need to apply yourselves so that you can finish and be an independent researcher, be one that is able to also hold the hand of somebody and walk the person through the journey. So let's allow for the process to prepare us rather than this fixation on I want the thesis that would go to the Viva and then it's met all the requirements and it's seen as a solid thesis. Quite frankly, I've gotten to a point in this endeavor where I'm not impressed by the final work. I want to walk a journey with a student and I'm assessing the student throughout the journey. So I think our students should have that at the back of their minds also. Another thing is the bit about, I stood here and spoke about impactful research. I feel that the truth of the matter is that we need resources, we need money to do impactful research. We're doing a lot of research, a lot of surveys here and there, just because we don't have the resources. And I think our students would have to start thinking about grantmanship, the opportunities to actually get some financial support to do your research. It could be not a full scholarship, but just for maybe data collection, some travel grants here and there. Our postgraduate students ought to know that they don't have to do the research with the money from their pocket. If that becomes the case, we will not get the solid research that we are pushing for. So you need to be looking at the grantmanship issues also. Then there's been a lot said here about supervisors and all that. Personally, I categorize supervisors and I have 3 types. There's one I tend to always call the get on with it, come to me when you have something kind of supervisor. They're there, whether we like it or not, they are in our faculties. Then there's the type that is always breathing down your neck, more or less structuring everything for you and then dictating the pace and all that. They are also there. And of course, the third one is rather a bad one. Those who are like, I never got any support, so you're also not going to get any support from me. They are also there. And in as much as you don't dictate
who becomes your supervisor, I think our students will have to start being very observant. So when you are given a supervisor who is the type who is so busy and then you say, get on with it when you think you have something, come to me. You need to be an independent researcher. So you need a bit of independent mindedness, driving the research yourself. You also need somebody who will guide you. So when this is somebody who is always guiding you, try to also engage with people who would allow you to express yourself. They may not come in as officially supervisors, but they can become part of your advisory committee. So you get a bit of this and then a bit of that. Let's be thinking about that. And then the last point I want to throw in quickly, my sister spoke about mental health. It's real. Our students are going through a lot. But I feel that the students all must understand that you can't get a proper break. When you need a break to recover your sanity, you need to get a proper break. Otherwise, all that period is going to be counted as you doing your work. You're actually not doing any work. You are actually trying to recover your sanity. So if you need to break, you get a proper break. If you have to defer to go sort yourself out, you do it, and then you come back and you excel. My last thing is, I am
Prof, 30 seconds.
Yes. The last one was sprinkle a few things in 30 seconds. I'm a project manager, so I look at research as project. One of the things we do as project managers, we say it about projects. We must have a start and must have an end. Have that at the back of your mind. Projects come with stakeholders, and we evaluate our stakeholders to know the sort of power each stakeholder has, the sort of urgency each stakeholder has. Postgraduate students, you must do that. You must scan and get the key stakeholders and know the sort of influence each of them come with. Another thing we do in project management is that we schedule things so that you can properly manage your time. Treat that, bring that to your research work also. And of course, quality. I can talk about quality. I can talk about all the knowledge areas in project management and how that can see expression in the way you do your research work. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our faculty, is there anyone who wants to have a final comment? Our faculty. If not, before we end the session, I would like to advise students, please don't always stay at one corner with your supervisor alone in the work you are doing. That is why every semester you are supposed to attend departmental seminars to go and present the progress of your work for other lecturers in the department to know what you are doing and also make inputs. Do that. Avail yourself for those presentations and present your work and listen to others. Sometimes, by the time you realize you might have overlooked something that is very critical to the work. And when it comes to Viva, it may come up and it may run your entire work, let me say, a bit not standard. So have the views as have been shared by the speakers here. Let's listen to others as well. And you can do that by making presentations. Like this conference, you come and make presentations from your work, and they will comment and others, and they will help you to shape your work. Don't only be with your supervisor alone at one corner, and at the end, you want others to come and assess your work. There might be some loopholes that your supervisor might have not looked at. And I'm sometimes surprised that there are some supervisors here, they have a lot of students supervising them. But when it comes to these opportunities, you don't see any of their students coming to make presentation. And that is not good enough. Let's encourage our students to speak about their work. Let others also look at it. And it helps the student, it helps students and helps us as well. So at the long or the last minute, it will not become a problem for us. And there will be accusations, this person is doing this person and that. We don't want that. So let's heed to that. Before I allow our panelists to leave, I would like you to come in front here. Photographer. Where is the photographer? You take the panel picture. We are very grateful for your time We are grateful for your knowledge and what you have shared with us. Prof, thank you. Let's come forward. Let's come forward. No, thank you very much, Prof. Thank you. No. Thank you. Yes. So I'll be with you.
Thank you very much, Professor Downso and the team for the wonderful work done. Please, we will go for snack, but before that, we have created a safe place at the faculty. We have created a safe place at the Faculty of Technology conference room. So those in the first section, the last two people who are supposed to be in the auditorium and the auditorium room 1, kindly join that team that will move to the Faculty of Education conference room. And then the people who are supposed to be in the SRC pavilion and the FASME conference room, the last people involved are supposed to join the people joining the FTE conference room group. For the fourth section, please, the last people in the auditorium and the SRC pavilion together with the last two going to FASME and the new building room 1 are supposed to also move to that conference room. We will kindly ask and request that we come together as we did yesterday. Those in the extreme left kindly move to the middle, those at the right, so that we can take a photograph, after which we step out for our snack. And please, when you pick the snack, kindly move to where we are having the presentations. The team is waiting for you. Thank you very much. I have been your MC, Professor Mrs. Janice Juma Abraham. Thank you. Please, as you pick your snack, kindly give them your treat. Please, as you pick your snack, kindly give them your treat. Thank you very much.
Lecturers, you don't need treats. So lecturers, you can go straight to